Hollywood has always been a place of power, glamour, and unspoken rules. For decades, it has operated like a machine, an industry with traditions and expectations that stars are expected to follow. Smile for the cameras. Say the right lines in interviews. Don't step out of place. Don't challenge the system. But every so often, a celebrity comes along who looks at those rules, shrugs, and says, "No thanks." And instead of falling apart, these stars actually thrive by doing things their own way. Take George Clooney, for instance. Early in his career, Clooney was trapped in the TV world, known mainly for his role on ER. Back then, Hollywood had a strict pecking order. Television actors weren't considered serious enough for film. Clooney didn't just quietly accept that. He fought to break out of the mold, walking away from the show at the height of its popularity to prove he could be more than just a doctor on primetime. That was a risky move in the 90s, when walking away from a steady job could have meant the end of a career. But Clooney trusted himself, and it worked. He became one of the biggest movie stars in the world and later one of the few actors who transitioned successfully into directing and producing, building a career on his own terms. Another star who refused to bow down to Hollywood's unwritten rules was Dave Chappelle. At the height of his fame, his show on Comedy Central was pulling in massive ratings and making him millions. But behind the scenes, he was unhappy with how the show was being controlled and how the humor was being twisted for profit rather than art. Instead of sticking around for the fame and money, Chappelle did the unthinkable. He walked away. He left a $50 million deal on the table and disappeared to South Africa, confusing fans and shocking the industry. People thought he was done. But years later, he came back stronger than ever, on his own terms, with comedy specials that broke streaming records. Chappelle didn't play by Hollywood's rules, and not only did he survive, he set the example that sometimes, stepping away is the most powerful move you can make. Then there's Keanu Reeves. Hollywood often rewards ego. Stars are expected to flaunt their success, live in mansions, and surround themselves with luxury. But Keanu chose a different path. Despite his blockbuster roles in The Matrix and John Wick, Reeves is famous for living simply, riding the subway, and giving away huge portions of his earnings. He has quietly donated millions to hospitals and charities, never chasing headlines for it. In an industry obsessed with fame and money, Keanu refused to play that game. And instead of losing out, it only made him more loved, admired, and respected worldwide. His rejection of the usual Hollywood lifestyle became part of his legend. Jennifer Lawrence is another example of someone who rewrote the rules. Hollywood has a long history of turning young actresses into polished, media-trained figures who give perfect sound bites and never step out of line. Lawrence blew that up completely. She stumbled, she laughed too loud, she told awkward stories, and she admitted to being nervous on red carpets. She wasn't playing the part of the flawless movie star, she was just being herself. And instead of it hurting her career, audiences loved her for it. She became one of the most relatable stars in an industry built on glamour and perfection. Her refusal to put on a mask made her stand out in the best way possible. And then there's Rihanna. The music and film industries love to put artists into boxes. Sing, act, tour, repeat. But Rihanna decided she wasn't going to stay in any box. At the height of her music career, instead of endlessly chasing chart hits, she pivoted into business. With the launch of her Fenty beauty line, she changed not just her career but the entire beauty industry. By focusing on inclusivity and creating products for every skin tone, she built a billion-dollar empire. Hollywood expected her to keep playing the role of the pop star forever. Instead, she became a mogul. And she proved that walking away from the stage can sometimes lead to an even bigger stage. Kanye West, though one of the most controversial names in entertainment, is also an example of refusing to play by the rules. While Hollywood and the music industry often expect artists to stay quiet, follow labels, and not challenge authority, Kanye went the opposite route. He spoke out, often in explosive ways, and while that came with backlash, it also made him one of the most influential figures in music and fashion. His Yeezy brand disrupted the sneaker industry, turning him from just a rapper into a billionaire designer. Love him or hate him, Kanye's refusal to stay inside the lines gave him a power few artists ever achieve. Hollywood also has an unspoken rule that aging stars should fade quietly into the background. But Dolly Parton has never followed that. Decades after her rise to fame, she's still performing, still recording, and still influencing culture. Instead of letting the industry push her aside, she built her own empire, from theme parks to philanthropic projects, proving that you don't have to retire gracefully, just because that's the expectation. Dolly never played by Hollywood's age rules, and she won by becoming timeless. Then there's the story of Robin Williams. Hollywood loves to typecast, to keep actors in one category. Comedy actors are supposed to be funny. Serious actors are supposed to be dramatic. But Williams tore that system apart. Known for his manic, fast-paced comedy, he shocked audiences when he started taking on dramatic roles, like in Good Will Hunting and Dead Poets Society. Industry insiders doubted him, saying audiences wouldn't take him seriously. But Williams not only proved them wrong, he won an Academy Award for his dramatic work. By refusing to be boxed in, he showed the world that artists can be more than one thing. Another powerful example is Shonda Rhimes, the powerhouse behind shows like Grey's Anatomy and Scandal. In Hollywood, networks have always dictated the rules of television, controlling creators and their visions. But Shonda refused to be controlled. She built her own production empire, and when she felt restricted by ABC, she walked away and signed a groundbreaking deal with Netflix. She didn't just play the Hollywood game, she created her own, one where she had all the power. And it paid off in a massive way. And let's not forget Prince. If there was ever an artist who flat out rejected Hollywood's rules, it was him. He fought against record labels, famously writing the word slave on his face to protest how artists were being controlled. He even changed his name to a symbol to get out of a restrictive contract. At the time, people thought he was ruining his career. But looking back, Prince was ahead of his time, fighting for artists' rights and ownership long before it became a mainstream conversation. By refusing to play along, he ended up changing the industry forever. What all of these stars have in common is the courage to say no. In an industry built on compliance, they decided to take risks, to trust themselves, and to walk away from the safety net that Hollywood dangled in front of them. And the result? They didn't just survive, they thrived. They showed that success doesn't have to come from following the script. Sometimes, the biggest victories come from tearing the script up completely. Hollywood thrives on power, control, and predictability. But time and time again, the stars who refused to play along proved that real power comes from being yourself. From Clooney to Chappelle, Rihanna to Keanu, these celebrities became legends not just because of their talent but because of their choices. They broke the rules, and they won. If you enjoyed this look into the stars who dared to go against the Hollywood system, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. And let me know in the comments, if you were in Hollywood, would you follow the rules or would you break them?